Health is a state of complete harmony of the mind, the body, and the spirit. When one is free from physical disability and mental distractions, the gate of the soul opens. BKS in Rengal. Welcome to Living at Your Finest podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Babs. I'm a triple board certified family, obesity, and lifestyle medicine physician, and I am the founder of Living at Your Finest Wellness, a holistic direct primary care practice. Did you know that 80% of lifestyle-related chronic diseases within our communities are preventable, with poor diet being the primary culprit? Now, contrary to what we thought, that it was our unfortunate genes, the good news is that we can make changes together to improve our health and quality of life. So that's what this podcast is all about. The Living at Your Finest podcast is devoted to helping families to live at their finest well-being using a holistic approach with a healthy lifestyle to nourish and flourish as a whole, vibrant, and healthy champion. So join me and my guests as we share transformational and sustainable skill sets from our health and wellness journey to support you and your families in achieving optimal well-being. Ready to live at your finest? Well, let's get to it. Hello. Welcome to Living at Your Finest podcast show, Health Champions. How are you all doing? Welcome back. Thank you for showing up once again to the podcast show. I hope you and yours are doing well this holiday season. I hope you are staying loved and enjoying all the beautiful colors. I have my beautiful colors in case you're seeing me, if you're watching the video. So today I am super excited because I have a very special guest on the show today, and he's special for two reasons. He's a wealth of knowledge as a child psychiatrist, and he's my nephew through my husband's side of the family. So I'm really excited that we get to have this connection together, and I'm so honored that he agreed to join the show. He is packed with goodies, strategies on just how to achieve mental health freedom. So the title of our topic today is the Wellness Pizza Approach to Holistic Mental Health for Youth. I mean, we hear a lot about adults, but how many people are talking about youth? So I'm so glad that he's in this space. We're going to talk about several topics, but we're going to narrow it down to just how to enhance mental health and well-being of children and adolescents. We're also going to talk about this wellness pizza that he came up with. I mean, it's his baby and it's really doing marvelous things. It's a therapeutic tool, and he's going to share more about that. And certainly we're going to end with just practical strategies. He's going to share about how we can apply it into our everyday. So let me introduce him, give you a brief synopsis about who Dr. Ayobello is. AyoTunde Ayobello, he is a Yale child and adolescent psychiatrist, visual artist, and advocate for the wellness of children, adolescents, and families. With a holistic approach that blends play, creativity, and design, he brings a unique perspective to mental health using innovative methods to foster resilience and growth. Dr. AyoTunde Ayobello's passion lies in the intersection of arts and psychiatry, helping young people strive through creative expression and compassionate care. So a warm welcome to you, Dr. AyoTunde Ayobello, to the Living at Your Finest.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes. So I know your time is precious, so we're just going to jump right into it. Tell us, where did this all come from? Where did the passion, and not just being a psychiatrist, but focusing on children, adolescent, because it's well needed. It's a well needed space. So just want to learn from you, where did that passion start?
I think, the passion is something that started from like a personal standpoint. Growing up, there were a lot of things that I personally experienced. And at the time, there was not a lot of support and a lot of resources available. So I think that was just one background that I came in with. And I think growing up, one of the things that sort of became an outlet for me was just the use of creativity and play like any child, and found that just as a useful tool to, express myself and share my emotions and sort of express my creativity. So from a young age, I knew that creativity and just creative expression in general was something that was not only therapeutic, but fulfilling for me. So that's sort of
Nice. I
like a
like
little
that.
background.
And I think what you said too, just not having enough resources at the time, right? And now having this wealth of information. But sometimes, yes, not having enough and having too much could be very, just trying to navigate which one is evidence-based. So I like where you started from, but also the fact that you're in the space where you're able to provide evidence-based that is supportive and just the artist. I know I used to scribble a lot when I was growing up, and even though I'm not an artist, nothing like the great work you do, but I would just scribble, just get lost in doing designs. I might paint the same circle over and over again, and it was therapeutic for me. So I want to switch gears and ask about the wellness pizza. What is it? What do you do with it? How does it help people as a therapeutic tool? And I would like for you to expand using that. Also, how do you help the youths? How do you help them with their mental health?
That's a great question. And when people ask me that question about what is the wellness pizza, I always start by saying it is not an actual pizza that you can eat. Because a lot of people get excited, like, oh yeah, we're gonna have pizza.
We're gonna have pizza, yes.
So the Wellness Pizza is not an actual pizza, but it does take the form of a pizza. And I have one here. I'm going to show it shortly. But I think just like a pizza, it comes with numerous slices. And really the idea for the Wellness Pizza came about just with my work with children, adolescents, and families. I think as a child psychiatrist, a lot of families, a lot of parents would come to me with their child or with their children and share their concerns. It might be issues with anxiety, it might be issues with their mood, it might be issues with their confidence. And a lot of parents hoped that I would have maybe a medication or a pill that I could prescribe that would take all those concerns away. And so I started to notice that, and I started to like explain to the parents that yes, medications are very important and medications do have a role, but they're really one piece or one slice of a bigger picture. And I started to use this model to explain to parents and explain to families about how wellness and just positive mental health is a combination of multiple things. And that's where the idea for the Wellness Pizza came across. Yeah.
Wow. I'm just imagining that Kodak moment, epic moment where you put it all together, explaining the slices and the piece, and you're like, you know what, this could be the shape of a pizza. And I have
Right.
seen that pizza. I think it's so,
Would you like to see it?
yeah, please show it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I hope it oh yeah,
Yes. Yeah,
there
show it
we
really
go.
well.
So
Look
this
at
is
that.
the wellness pizza.
Wow.
And as you can see, like it comes with multiple
Yes.
pieces, and each piece represents a part of wellness and a few things that play a role in our wellness. Like I said, a lot of families came with the expectation that this,
Just the medication
medication
only.
would
Yeah.
be the only piece, but I use this to show that yes, while medications can be helpful, it only plays a role in all the other things that go into wellness. So that's really where the idea for the pizza came across, and yeah,
Nice.
it's
Very
been a
good. Very
really
good.
good success.
Yeah. And this is a holistic approach, isn't it? Right? It's a holistic approach. Medications have its place, yes, no doubt. But if you just do medications alone and you don't take care of the other component, the other part that makes us humans, then you're just masking an issue, right? You're not getting to the root
Absolutely.
cause. So how do you respond, Dr. Ayotunde Ayobello, if somebody says, well, what order then do I go? I'm like, it's all over the place. My nutrition is bad. I'm not sleeping well. What else? All the things, our kids are inundated with the phones. Just today, I took Daraju's phone and it was like, why am I not taking my phone to school? Because you spend so much time on it. And it's like, no, but I need my phone for schoolwork. I'm like, really? Are you really needing your phone for school? So they come up with all these things. So I'm just curious if you can share with us, you have a patient right in front of you and they say, okay, yes, doctor, I get it. Medication is not the answer to all, but where do I start with all the other? I mean, you have 16 pieces. What do I do? How do I, so not to feel overwhelmed? What's the approach that you take with your patients and the families?
That's a great question. That's a great question. I I'm someone that believes in empowering children and, having children really take control of their wellness. So, there's this concept called childism, where basically we don't tend, older people and adults in society don't tend to listen to children or take their opinions seriously just because they're children. So I take this approach where I ask a child or an adolescent to put together their pizza with the pieces that they enjoy and the pieces that they like. So they go in and they put together their pieces, and that's usually where I start from. So I have a pizza in front of me with 8 pieces, and I start to talk about, so, okay, why did you pick this piece? Why did you pick nutrition? Why did you pick journaling? And they start to talk about why like these pieces are important to them. And, during that conversation, I learn about how effective they are in actually incorporating these pieces. So a child might pick nutrition, but when I say, okay, so like, what do you eat? What do you like to eat? They're like, oh, I like cookies. I like Chick-fil-A. I like, and then I have to explain that, yes, like those foods have a certain role, but it's also important to incorporate these types of foods, and this is how food affects your mood and how you feel. So it's really a good tool to start to educate and inform children and adolescents, and they learn a lot from that.
Yes. So you actually present it to them. You collaborate with them, but you let them take the lead. I like that. And in doing so, you learn about who they are, and it's an opportunity to educate. So I guess that's the strength-based approach that you're promoting by doing that activity. So that's great. Now, what if there are some items that they don't pick that you feel will be important for them? How do you work that in? Like, for instance, if they pick all the things that they want and you have that, is it the six size pizza? Oh, how many can fit in at one time?
So it's there's spaces for 8.
8, okay.
Pizzas. You are able to like stack things up.
You can stack, okay.
Yes. And that's part of where like the conversations come on, where I might have a kid who might not pick nutrition. They're like, oh, I don't care about food.
There you go.
I don't care about sleep because I want to stay up all night playing on my iPad. And, we accept that. And as we start to work together and, as they start to learn about the pieces, I often see their pizzas change where they're like, you know what? Like, maybe you're right. Like, when I don't get enough sleep, I am a little cranky and moody in the morning. And they start to learn about all the other aspects. And there's some pieces that they are also not aware of. I have a lot of kids look at this and they're like, oh, what is meditation? Or what is gratitude? And, I'm always like, I'm glad you asked that question, because now I can tell you about like breathing techniques and about like having a journal or gratitude. And it starts to change over time, which is really great to see.
Thank you so much for joining me on this week's episode. My goal on this podcast is to empower, educate, and encourage you to take actionable steps to triumph at living at your finest, body, mind, and spirit. Of note, the information provided here is for educational purposes only and does not substitute as medical advice. Please discuss your healthcare needs with your licensed medical professional. If you are in need of a compassionate and comprehensive holistic physician or know someone who is, please reach out through my website, livewellness.com, for a meet and greet. It will be my honor to talk to you. Are we connected on social media yet? I share more in-depth content on best practices to ensure that you live at your finest daily. So please join me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at Living at Your Finest Wellness, where we can learn together and stay connected. Lastly, please subscribe to iTunes if you have not done so already, and share the podcast within your circle of influence. An extra step? Leave a review and let me know what topics or discussions you would like to hear more of. Thanks in advance. It is always a thing of joy to hear from you. Now, let's get back to today's episode. Nice, very good. And I guess this is a family, the parents are there, right? When you're having these conversations, is that correct? And do you engage the family in it? I'm just curious in terms of the approach. Because by the way, everyone, I've ordered a pizza and you guys need to order a pizza because it's amazing. And in my home, personally, I'm going to use it in my practice, but in my home, we need a pizza like that as well. So my question is, how do you involve the parents? How, you're talking to the child and you're empowering them, you're making ideas, suggestions, but you're taking their lead. How do you help families where, I, as a family physician, I do see kids, but not as much as you do, certainly. I do more of adult medicine. But I find that when parents want to talk about their kids, they feel that the kids can just eat whatever they want because they're growing and they will burn it. Meanwhile, the parents are like really picky about what they eat. So it's really a healthy lifestyle for everybody, right? It's going to benefit everyone. So I was just curious in terms of your approach when you have the families there, how do you engage the whole family so the child doesn't just feel like I'm the only one doing this, but meanwhile, everybody else is doing whatever they like?
Exactly. That's a great question. So a lot of times I start with the child and I build a pizza with the child and I start to have these conversations with the child. And then I always like to bring in the parents for that, where we share the child's pizza with the parents and we sort of make it a family activity. And I always ask, what is going to change if mom makes her own pizza? Or what is going to change if dad makes his own pizza? So dad can come in and say, oh, you know what? Instead of movement, I might take off this piece. And for me, spirituality is really important. And they put it there. Or I can ask the child, what do you think mom's pizza is going to be like? And, it always turns into like something fun where they're like, oh, like mom never exercises. So I'm going to take off movement.
They tell on mom.
Exactly. So that way, like the family gets in on it. And, I have families who have like their individual pizzas. And so it turns into this friendly competition of who is following up with their pizzas and who is keeping track of what they eat. And it can become a family activity.
Okay. So if I understand you correctly, you start off with a child, the parents are not there. You're doing the engagement with the child, and then later you involve the parents. Is
Right.
that what you're saying? Okay.
Right.
I understand that. And that, of course, gives you privacy with the child so that they feel at ease and all of that. And
Yeah.
since it's a family affair, you bring the parents in later and engage them. That's very good.
Right.
Very good. Yes. Now, how the creativity, I guess, with the pizza and the play, are there any other approach that you want to share before we switch gears and learn about who you are as a person? Is there any other practical strategies that you want to share that our listeners, whether certainly it will be mostly parents that are listening, can incorporate into their day-to-day activities with their families, with their kids? Anything else that you want to share around just this holistic approach to enhance mental health and well-being of our children?
Yeah, I think play is crucial because for children and adolescents, play and creativity is really the way they want to express themselves. It's the best way to learn for children. That's why I think historical approaches to teaching children about, mental health has not been very successful. I think the American Academy of Pediatrics released a statement about how child mental health is in a crisis in the US. And I think it stems from things like this because for us to be able to incorporate wellness and positive mental health in children, we need to start at an early age and we need to start with play. That aside, I think for parents, it's important to sort of be graceful and give yourself the opportunity to learn as well, because currently, like we're in a world that is moving so fast. And I think a lot of parents feel like, oh my God, like I don't know what to do. Like, should I give them the phone? Should I not? Should I, take it away? What should I do? Is this healthy? Is this not? I think it's important to say you're not alone. Like everyone feels that way and we learn as we go. And I think it's important important to start with that. And also, children watch what we do, and it's important that we also model what we want to see, in our children. And it starts from little things like this, holistic wellness.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well said. Oh my goodness. I'm just having goosebumps as you said it, that we need to model what so it's not a mentality of do as I say and not as I do, right? So we need to be very mindful. But I like that you said to give ourselves grace and learn as we go, right? Nothing is perfect, not looking for perfection, but at
Right.
least progress, right? So even if it's 1%. I know in my home, we had a goal that we were going to try and read at least several books before the end of the year. And then we were checking in today, a few weeks ago, I was like, okay, how many books have we covered? Are we all just in the
Right.
evening, like doom scrolling? That's a word in my house now. Even
Right.
your uncle hears me say doom scrolling and he puts the phone down, and I am like, oh, but you on the phone. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing business. I'm doing living at your finest style. So we all need to, know that the world is moving so fast. There's just so much information, but we need to call ourselves out in a positive way, no judgment, just to play, right? Go out and play together, enjoy the fresh air, So there's a lot for us to keep learning and growing and improving on our mental health status. Yeah. So I'm
Great.
glad that you said all of that. So before I give you an opportunity to tell our listeners how they can get in touch with you, all the great work that you do, I certainly will put it in the show notes. We want to get to know you, Dr. Ayotunde Ayobello. So, this podcast is called Living at Your Finest, right? So I'm curious, what do you do to live at your finest well-being on a daily basis? Not perfection here, but at least you make an effort.
Great question. Yeah. So for me, I find opportunities to, be mindful. One of the things that has been super helpful, like over the years, is journaling. Finding time to journal and just write down my thoughts, what I'm thinking, maybe something that I'm struggling with, or plans for the future. Being able to take the time to write and journal, I think has been very helpful. I try to do it every day. There are times when I miss a couple of days or I'm not able to get to it, but when I do, it's always very grounding. So that is one thing that I really enjoy. I'm also a big music fan. I like to listen to music a lot, and it helps calm me down. I get to relax, I get to dance, listen to
Nice.
Afrobeat. So music is something that is a big part of my life, and I try to incorporate it as much as I can.
Very good. I like it. Yeah, I love journaling as well. It's like a brain dump, right? So I love it. I love journaling. I must say that I'm glad to hear that you journal, because most men don't usually like to journal. And I think it will be so helpful for men to do it. They kind of feel like, yeah, it's all in there and they don't let it out. But it's so grounding to your point, And some people I say, okay, well, if you don't like to write, maybe just go on the phone and just record yourself, let it out, and then delete it. Because that was an idea. One of my friends, my colleagues, who was a male, does that because he doesn't want to write. But I mean, writing, there's something about putting pen to paper, right? But I like that you journal, and definitely encourage our listeners to incorporate that if you're not doing it, because the doctor told you, our special guest told you, it helps them. And
Oh, yeah.
music is fantastic. I love it. All right. Well, can you tell us one word that describes you?
I would go with
One word or one
word.
sentence. I can say that.
I'd say innovative. Or
Innovative. Nice.
yes. And I
Yeah.
like that word because, I am someone who is like very interested in a lot of things. I like to paint, I like to design things, I like to read. I have a lot of interest, and I always love the opportunity to combine my interests. That's really where innovation comes from. It's really taking knowledge from one field and combining it with another field, and coming up with something new, kind of like the wellness pizza,
Yeah.
where it's taking knowledge about holistic wellness,
Hmm.
and combining it with like design and creativity and art, and coming up with something new. So I think innovative is the word that I will go with.
Awesome. Awesome. Very good. Now I have one last question for you. you. This is the Christmas season. Do you have a favorite Christmas movie that or song, since you said you like
Oh,
song? What's like your go-to Christmas or a seasonal movie?
I am one of the Potterheads. Harry Potter is the series, is something that plays like
Okay.
nonstop, during the Christmas season. I'm a big Harry Potter fan.
Okay.
And my daughter loves Harry Potter as well,
Nice.
so it's something that we connect with, and yeah, that's something that I enjoy.
Very good. Well, thank you for giving us the opportunity to just dive into your world a little bit and learn about who you are as a person. So, want to give you an opportunity. Please share with our listeners how can they get in touch with you if they want to order a wellness pizza. What would be the best way to reach out to you?
Absolutely. There are a few ways. You can go to the website. It is www.thewellnesspizza.com. And you can also follow us on Instagram. We're at The Wellness Pizza on Instagram. So those are the two best ways to stay in touch and follow, like, reach out. Be happy to connect. And if you tell me that you came from Living at Your Finest Wellness, you might get a discount. No
Yay!
promise, but you might get a discount.
Nice. How generous of you. Well, we really, 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 really appreciate your time today. I really enjoyed talking with you. I've been meaning to do
Thank
this for a
you.
while, so thank you for being patient with me. It's great to see the innovation that you've put together that will help several families. So thank you for your
Thank
time
you for
today.
having me. Thank you for having me.
Yes. And to our listeners, thank you. I hope that you have enjoyed this podcast episode as much as I have. We want to encourage you that you've heard a lot. There are all these pizza slices. I bet the next time you're eating pizza, you're going to be thinking about the wellness pizza that Dr. Ayatunde Ayobello talked about today. But I want us to all just remember that, we're a whole person and we cannot separate different aspects of our lives and think that everything will still go well. We need to integrate all of them together. And then we also want to be very mindful that it's progress of a perfection. If it is 1% better every day, and we do it as a community, as a family, right? So we need to emphasize nutrition, physical activity, sleep, but a gradual process, right? Without judgment, and just to enhance our overall well-being, because ultimately, there's that the stomach, the GI to the brain connection, mind body connection. There's all of that. So we need to make sure that it's all, working in sync. So thanks again for joining this episode. Until the next episode, I want you to remember that you deserve to live at your finest because you are worth it. Take care and God bless.